Good morning. So I just want to kind of talk about my dream this morning. It's kind of early. It's not early, 6:30. So my dream was it's like a jungle palace resort type thing. Kind of think of like the hotel in The Shining, but way more massive. And it's like built into the jungle. Lots of lots of layers, and there's like the hotel's kind of like many levels, but there's an open center where you can kind of look down into a massive, I guess you'd call it a cavern. But it was very earthy. It wasn't like it really felt like the underworld. And it's like outside the place, there was like a massive, it kind of had like the feeling of, what's the forest planet in Star Wars? Whatever it is. Tatooine. Shout out memory. Uh, Felt like that. Like you'd go out and it was like jungle with massive trees and like wooden above ground walkways. But the other information that came through with this dream was the corruption of souls and spirits, and the fact of like if you're not evolving on this planet, or not even that, like there's a lot of brokenness that goes totally unnoticed, and the way people are raised and like subconsciously, and that manifests into a greater totality and a very dark aura. Like it was a very ominous feeling about it when I was there, but I was able to like visualize like the atom, the tree of life atom, because we're all the form version of that which is formless. He's like the template, and like we all contribute to this template on the tree of life, and our development determines like how corrupt or how like magnified that is. God dang it. I hate how these cigarettes go out. It's freaking tobacco. But so like the the way we kind of shove God out to the side is like incredibly sad and detrimental to our own development, because we don't realize how much that structures our growth on a subconscious human level. And like this is how Satan corrupts and pulls people down to his level, is like forged lies and denial of the higher truth. That way you become materialistic and go down into the underworld instead of rising up and to the skies. It's just kind of where the roots are. But there was all, it was weird. It was like a lot of young children or like very young souls that were like so like bent out of shape. I was just kind of observing, and it was like we don't realize how good we have it in this life, and a lot of people don't realize until they're dead, and then they go to that world and they're like, "Oh my god!" Like it's such a the underworld is a crazy place, and we need to recognize how our actions in this life affect that. And if we were able to live, ooh, heavy download. Oh my god, that was like a freaking gun went off. If we're able to correct ourselves, like what the way I think of planet Earth is, it's like a prison planet, mental health, like sanitarium type place, and there's people that come down from the higher levels to kind of correct what's gone wrong in the lower levels, and the lower levels come up to the mid levels to like it's the interface between the two, and that's what this life is. It's kind of like the holding pasture, deciding if you're gonna freaking rise up or go down and learn your lesson. But the way I was able to, I wish I could put it into words, the corruption of the soul, or like the template, like it's such a visual picture for me. Like people were, not, this is just how I'm going to word it. People were like very childish and young, but very broken. Like imagine like a foster home kind of energy. But I think that's like what you're seeing of divine souls. Like we're very young souls here. That's why things are so corrupt and don't really make sense and are strange. And like we're barely like Carlin said, we're barely out of the jungle on this planet. Ironic for the basis of this vision. But give thanks no matter what life you live, no matter how crappy you think your life is. Like before I recorded this video, I just watched another video on. It was a little I don't know what you call it, a enlightening story, path working story about illusion, and how this boy went to see a master. And he said, "I heard you can teach me about illusion." And the master said, "Yes, go walk to this well and fill up the gourd and bring it back to me." And he goes to this well, and he's a very kind kid. He's a very nice person. And then the he like runs into two women that are being harassed, and he shoos off the guy, and then these two women are like, "Oh, come back to our place." And then he meets the father, and the father is like a what would be a mayor. Like the head of the village. And then the guy's like, "Yes, marry my daughters, marry my eldest daughter, and you will become what I am." And then like he grows up and lives many years, and then he is out in the forest, and he feels an earthquake, and It's right by the ocean, so he's like runs up to tree to see what the deal is or something like that, and then he sees a tsunami come in, and he climbs down the tree and he goes to the village, and everybody's dead and everything's washed away. And then he goes back to the master, and he asks, the master asks, "Did you bring the water?" And this is obviously over like a 15-year period, and that's illusion. Is like the material world is an illusion, and if you get too attached to it, it'll snap back to remind you how small you are. And a lot of people in this day and age never have that experience. And yeah, I kind of had the rug ripped out from under me, but it's all in a mental space. It's not like my life totally collapsed. My life hasn't changed at all, really, and I've done it like that so I can observe the change. And very um, ominous. This world is a school. It's not a place where you get all as many possessions as you can and become the wealthiest guy and dominate. It's it was never meant to be this built out. I don't think. I think we kind of took it and ran with it. And people are talking about building heaven on earth, and what that's really going to do is just create the greatest slave world of all time instead of being the school that it's supposed to be. People just get comfortable and they're still suffering and all the terrible confusion and all that, but people don't have these experiences that break them open to see the higher and the lower. And the strange thing about that corruption of the soul is people were so young, and they had no idea how to like live properly. Like they seemed like normal aged people, but they're like very young on the soul evolution path, and they're like, why? It wasn't even like they were like why we were here. It was just like we're in this place now. Jesus Christ! Stay lit. I hate it. Got to turn me into a chimney to get this thing working. And yeah, it was like the actual function of like the reincarnation cycle and like the evolutionary stage was like interfered with by our use of like technology is how I would apply it to my waking state. And like people are losing their like developmental, like we're so caught up in this like false reality of like go to school to learn about the material world, and it's just like all about the materium and no religious development, soul development. And like people were just like thrashed around and had no idea that they were like immature and like hardly developed. And this was like it was like I was in the garden looking at the tree of life on like Adam, but it was like multiple people. But it was like I was seeing the collective of humanity and the fact of like we've fallen far. And yeah, the more we rely on technology, generally people be watching movies and like playing games and like for what I do, this is incredible technology because I can listen to like every teacher from around the world and get like all kinds of lessons and stories on this kind of thing. But like, if you're not working on self development, knowledge of self, evolving, you're devolving. And yeah, there needs to be a lot more teachings about the underworld and like uh, awareness of it. And people talk about hell and its eternality. It's garbage. It's just fear porn to keep people from falling into this place. But now people are so in. It's like this place was already so rough already in the Middle Ages when that kind of thing was come up with. Like it's lost its spice because it's hot and, and should be like put you in fear a little bit, get you moving. And yeah, the beauty of life compared to like the lower astral plane is so man, because that's really what hell is. It's like our collective sin and scum. And yeah, there won't be a heaven on earth. It's just creating the most advanced Babylon prison cell slave planet of all time. There's got to be struggle still, but like the right kind of struggle, the healthy struggle. Maybe this is just my life path. It's like being blessed to see these realities because I do like darkness a lot. Not because I like the darkness, but I like transforming dark into light and like understanding. I like understanding, and that's understanding instead of understanding or overstanding. Oh man. So yeah, a lot of hell dreams, underworld dreams. I guess you call them visions. Well, this one was particularly uh, deep, and yeah, main thing is we don't realize how good we got it. We don't realize how civilized and how developed and how bad things could and probably will get because civilization's kind of in a fracturing right now. It's very hard to tell because we're so distracted, which kind of perpetuates the crumbling. Like if you really got to get serious. And yeah, it's imperative to cultivate good vibrations, kick out the complainer, gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. Pray to God you got mercy on your side. Uh, Give thanks, and that's what pulls you up further. as opposed to the it's all about me. It's all about me. But yeah, it's really strange because it feels like I'm living a second go around on this life. Like I've already lived before and gone to hell, and they pulled me out, and I'm on my second try. It's very strange. But yeah, very important to crack yourself open and observe the illusion and search for the lost heaven. Whew. Yeah, and it's a topsy turvy because you want to show people and enlighten people that the darkness exists, but you don't want to like flood the collective consciousness with garbage either. Ah, there's enough of that anyway. We're all sinners. It's going to be there whether you talk about it or not. But yeah, that was the Underworld Dream. A lot of stuff about the Underworld in the past year. But got to stay positive and focus on the light and draw the light down into that world. And maybe some people down there will get a glimpse of some sun rays. But mostly, don't trust anybody that wants to change the world with a smiling face, or somebody who can, barely keep both eyes open. One eye is just always shut. You know what I'm saying? People trying to be God. Because we're fractals of God. We are not God. God is ineffable, the Ein Sof, the infinite light. We're blessed with the ability to touch it and like contemplate it and experience it, but we're not. You think you're God, try to listen to everybody's prayers, solve karmic debts between different people, keep the world turning. This is another thing that I experienced like a year or so ago was like I felt myself as a part of the machinery of the solar system moving. I was like, oh my god, I gotta keep the planets in the right place in the orbit and keep it freaking moving. And like, thank God I don't have to do that. You know, come on, you fucking God. Yeah, gratitude. I have nothing, but I have everything. Still alive, repenting. Not very good at prayer. I prayer in my mind, but I don't speak it usually. I only speak when I'm speaking to you. Otherwise, zip, keep that mouth closed. because your mouth will say things in your mind. Where is that coming from? You know, you just talking out of your ass is way more common. And the quieter you are and the more you listen, the more you absorb. And it's like the sound of pruning. What's going on? We're doing some pruning. Cutting the vines that get cast into the fire. That happens, man. Peeps, if you're freaking fear of God is very necessary. It's not a fear. You don't actually feel fear, but it's like a gotta keep walking, keep that bicycle rolling. Because you'll fall into, I guess this is what you call a fall. Sometimes you fall down and you get stuck in quicksand kind of area. It's really freaking tired as all hell. Gravity is like a fucking 10-ton weight. And you're like, oh, I just gotta wake up today. I just gotta freaking. The most basic human tasks become very difficult. And kind of a taste. You're dragging that old ball and chain in the prison planet. Especially, I guess it's kind of a reminder like, hey, you're fucking up, and you're fucking up. Satan's sitting on your throne of your heart. Your naffs are on your heart. God's always watching. And it's not, God should not be personified. That's what we do to like comprehend it. It's just light. What it's like conscious, intelligent, all. That's why peace is so important. Because it, drown out the noise with peace. Because there's a lot of noise. A lot of noise in that noise to signal ratio. The signal ain't so strong. Yeah. I like it though. This is like the greatest way to taste it without actually being in the machine of like mechanized torture. That's the way it should work. And I think that's the way it's supposed to work. There's a lot of freaking mentally ill people that are just like, oh, well, what is happening? It's like, man, you're getting dragged. You got a freaking cannonball tied to your freaking ankle with a chain. So yeah, study, contemplate, breathe, meditate, pray, keep your body active. Judge no one. We should be pulling people beneath us up instead of dragging the people above us down. Because that's just bad for everybody. You know, not all of us have incredible ability and talent. And instead of trying to steal the talent from above, you should let them pull you up and then do the same for the people below you. And that's a much more efficient chain. And then the people at the top who are falling pull the whole, it's like a pulley system. So you get that proper flow of, the people that fall at the top drag the people from the bottom up like oh, that's already it. That was pretty cool. I like that one. What else we got? Fucking violins, man. That's the last thing we need. Yeah. So that's kind of my underworld dream. It's not a very well described. I guess I could try to analyze. So it was like I had there's a lot of facets to it, but I can't really bring that out of my subconscious. Like there was a lot of there was a lot of people, but they were all NPC level. Like they weren't. It was just kind of like the aura of people, kind of like The Shining, where Danny is in the hall, and there's two freaking twins at the end of the hall. Terrifying. I haven't even seen the movie. I don't know. Yeah, it was like jungle vibe, very Tatooine vibe. Freaking. I hate how this tobacco goes out. I hate it so much. But yeah, it was kind of like this would be the vibe of the jungle area, just like treetops and like a strange like spiral staircase up a tree connected to like a big hotel villa thing. Like a forest resort in like a jungle, a temperate jungle. Yeah, it was almost like a Japanese forest, or like I don't really know if they probably have forests in northern China. I don't know. Anywho, well, that's the underworld, and the soul is getting corrupted. We got to clean it up. Oh, it was so you got to think of like the great chain of being. Like it's parents' duty to raise their children, and children raise their children, and like we're at a weird spot where like the chain was broken somehow, or like we're in a transition, so the chain's all bound up and twisted on itself and not really working right. And it's important to be kind, help people straighten themselves out. Don't be like a freaking finger shaker, but like you see something up with somebody, pull them out of it. A lot of this stuff is subconscious. People don't even realize what they're doing, what's wrong with them. But I'm realizing they're just freaking corrupted people and they have no idea. But yeah, I think the most important analogy in this whole thing is the let the people at the top fall and pull the pulley, and then everybody should be pulling somebody beneath them up in the whole chain, and that's what keeps the proper flow going. Don't try to like climb up people and like pull on ankles and step on the people beneath you. You got to keep the chain going. I think Joseph Hill or Lucky Doobie, I forget which one, said, help people on the way up because you don't know when you're going to fall. That's the way it works. It's pretty true. I think the eternality side is not very accurate. It's a constant flowing cycle between birth and death and birth. I mean, I literally feel like I reincarnated in like a freaking super fast. Like I might have died in Vietnam and then immediately reincarnated like 10 or 20 years later, and like I'm catching the next cycle again, and I'm like, you know, in the past life I was a soldier who just died and didn't learn anything about anything, And I'm like barely. My soul is so poorly developed in this century. It's just like a total waste. Nothing was learned. It was all just death and freaking rebirth, death. And now it's kind of like, all right, in my soul, it's like, all right, no more violence. There's nothing that's learned there. It's absolutely useless. It's literally just a way money and like power is pushed around. Learning is where it's at. Just keep learning. It doesn't matter what you're learning, just keep learning. That can be by experience or intellectual. Experience is better, but it's harsher, and you don't always get the message. Anyway, it's going to be a nice sunny day. Oh, I'm going to get out of this freaking weird dark hole I'm in. Oh. Scene and cut and cut it and cut.